Y'all can, Spencer, why don't you push those desks a little bit that way? Some of the desks aren't spaced out great because I had to move them for testing yesterday. I did my best, but y'all can adjust them as you need to.
Would I get more points if I turn this in now, like unfinished, or when I've finished it late?
Well, I forgot to ask everybody. What is that?
This is 102.
Oh, it's 102.
So.
You should turn it in now, get half credit, and then when you finish it, you get half those points back. So in the end, that would give you the most points.
Okay. Yeah.
If you just wait till you finish it, then you still only get half. So. Sam's out today. Faye might be here. Jonathan. All right. Good morning, guys. One of the things I asked you guys to turn in last time was 102. That was the worksheet that says more with separation of variables. So if you did not turn that into Google Classroom, make sure your name's on it and come give it to me in the basket here before we get going. I did accidentally have on the agenda last time to turn in 103 also, but then I didn't open that up in Google Classroom, so I'll just ask for that again at a later date since I didn't verbalize that and you couldn't have turned it in for homework anyway, and I just messed that up. So I'll still give you points for it, but I'll be clear about when I expect 103. But 102, this will be your last chance for full points on it. Actually, I think most of you guys turned it in last time, it looks like. All right, so the bulk of our class time today I can give to you for finishing up and studying for your Chapter 6 test that's coming up next week on the 11th. So we are about there. That's Monday. It is an A week, so I'll see you again on Friday. But you guys really should have 103 finished or close to finished. But if you need some help with it or you need to put some time into studying it, then that will be the bulk of what class is about today. But before I do that, I picked out 2 past FRQs that kind of fit in this unit. So they will help you prepare for the test and at the same time help you with AP review and preparation. So these are 2 that I would like us to do both with fidelity here. So one's where I want you to give it your best shot. I want you to treat it like a real test FRQ and to spend a total of 15 minutes on it. So, I can't find my page. There it is. All right, so just to be clear, which one we're going to do first. So I'd like you to just do one. We'll go over it, maybe learn a couple of things from that, so then the next one can go better. So if you look in the top left, we're going to start off with the older one first, the one that's 2013 FRQ6. So only your first 2 FRQs allow a calculator. 3, 4, 5, and 6 are no calculator, and that's how it's been for quite a while. So that's why 6 is no calculator. Okay, so 2013 FRQ6. Any questions before I start the timer? Okay. All right, go ahead and start. See how you do. we'll go over and talk about scoring and stuff when the timer's up. We're going to go through 2 practice FRQs before Professor Risha. I'm going to do this one first.
Bless you.
And time's up. So one thing is I try not to give you any time warnings on this one because you won't get that many time warnings on the real AP exam. So try to do that a little bit more. Also this one, hopefully we see a little higher scores because y'all seem to have finished sooner. So hopefully you've learned from some of your other mistakes. Now the second one we do, I will have you look up the scoring yourself. But the first one we'll just talk about together. And this one, I went ahead and typed up the average on there. I try to do that every time and sometimes I forget. So if you look in the top right, this one had an average of 3.17, which is probably a little bit higher than normal for some of these, which could be also why you felt like you finished sooner. Okay, so here is the scoring. Again, if you need to borrow different colored pencil or pen, I've got some over here, but any corrections you need to add, anything you got wrong, any notes you add to yourself has to be done in a different color. If you don't do that, I won't give you full points on this when I grade it. That's part of the process. You're always welcome to borrow those, just make sure you put them back so that they stay replenished. Okay, but part A had 3 points. So it looks like you get 1 point if you showed that the derivative at this time was -3. Somewhere in your work, if you showed at the point 1, 0, the derivative was -3, you get a point. You get 1 point if you had the tangent line equation, which could look like this, or anything equivalent to that. So if you chose to distribute the -3, that's fine. If you chose to put a -0 next to y, that's fine. Anything equivalent to that gets you the second point. And then using that, if you plug 1.2 in for x and solve for y, the third point comes from the approximation. -3/5 or -0.6 as a decimal. Yeah.
For the first one,
Yep.
if I if I put in 1, 0 for the equation, but I didn't write dy dx specifically.
Like you just put it here.
Yeah. Or no, for the first point, if I just put e to the 0 and everything to the right.
This?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah. They're just saying that you did this and you did it correctly.
Okay.
So I would even go as far to say if you didn't do any of this, but you had the -3 right here, you would probably still get that first point because they can see that you did it, got the correct number, and applied it correctly. So I think you would still get that point that way too. But
No.
okay, any other grading questions about Part A? Okay, Part B. So again, you guys will have 6 FRQs on your AP exam. So this is their last one. I don't know why it tends to be question 6. When we flip this over and do the 2014 one, it was also question 6. But again, I understand, and I've been telling you guys, separation of variables is not the easiest thing because of the length of the questions. You need to do the best you can because you're going to have a handful of them on your next test for us. But on your AP exam, they're very friendly with the scoring. So you get 1 point if you just separated them correctly. So if you have it looking like that somewhere in your work, you got 1 of the 6 points. They gave 2 points for the antiderivatives. So if you did the antiderivative on the left correctly, you get a point. And then if you did the antiderivative on the right correctly, you get a point. Now I suspect this minus sign on the left side is probably a common mistake there. If you guys are doing that without U substitution, you either need to slow down or do the U substitution. I think most of you guys had time to do that. But so 1 point up here, 1 point for this, 1 point for this. They give you 1 point for doing the constant of integration. So if you remember to put plus c where it was supposed to go, you got a point. They gave 1 point if you used the initial condition. So if you plugged in whatever it was, 1, 0, and you solved for c correctly, if you showed that you plugged that in and got c equals 1, you got the 5th point. And to get the last point, you had to solve for y. So you had to multiply both sides by a negative, take the natural log of both sides so that you could get the y out of the exponent, and then undo multiply with divide. You have to do all of that for the last point. Yeah.
So if you solved for c but it was wrong, you don't get a point?
That's correct. Because you're not, if you got a different c, then you must have used different numbers. So you didn't really use the initial condition. Similar to if you did. Now, one thing I want to point out to you about this before we move on, this is the official scoring thing. You guys can Google search and you can see the same thing. This is part of the official scoring. If you did not do plus c in your work, the most you can get for part B is 3 points. They don't care if you use the initial condition, even if it accidentally was correct. They don't care if you solve for y accidentally and correctly. The most you could get is 3 points if you forgot the plus c. Likewise, if somehow some of this was correct, like you remembered plus c, you solved for y correctly for the wrong work, you integrated correctly for what you had, If you didn't separate the variables correctly, they will give you 0 points on this. So, a couple things to take note. Okay, so since this is, of course, the harder part of this, is there any scoring questions you'd like to ask about Part B? Okay, I've got one more question for you on this, and then we'll do one more, and then I will let you have the rest of the time for your test review and for studying. I did this one this morning, and I got 8 out of 9. So, any guesses about what I may have done incorrectly? So I guess I'm asking you, what do you think was the hardest part? Nope, I got that.
Like the E part, the left side of the interval?
Nope, I got that. Mine was going from here to here. When I distributed this -3, I didn't distribute correctly. So, I know that you guys sometimes have small careless errors as well. I'm only pointing it out. Well, I wasn't timing myself, and I was waiting for my pre-calc class to do something anyway. If you have time, slow down so you don't make distributing errors. And if you have time, extra time, those are the type of things you want to be checking. Because obviously I should have caught that. I should have gotten this point. I just was very careless. Okay, so compare yourself to the average there. Again, the average was 3.17. But even if you got 8 out of 9, even if you got 7 out of 9, try to pick out the next point or the next couple points that you could reasonably get next time. The better you do on one like this, if you get it on your AP exam, means you've got less pressure on you on the other ones. Likewise, the faster you do this one, the more time you have for other ones. And since this is the last FRQ, you know, this might be the last one you do before you can go back and start rechecking your work. Okay, let's go ahead and reset here and flip it over, please. So this one, I've started the timer now. This is the 2014, and I'm not trying to just pick the most recent ones or anything. I'm just picking ones that I know are the same topic. But notice how in 2013, FRQ 6 is what you just did. And now I'm having you do 2014 and it's FRQ 6. Some of the stuff overlaps. And the fact that it overlaps means they prioritize it more, which means it's more likely to be on your AP exam, which means it just, you want to put a little more focus on these skills than some of the others. Okay, I'll be quiet now. I'll tell you when your 15 minutes is up. Just try to do whatever you messed up on the last question. Try to put extra focus on that before you quit on this one. time's up. Okay, so a couple things here before I let you loose. First off, I am going to have you self-score this one. So remember at the top there, I've created bit.ly links that try to make that as convenient for you as possible. The top one will go to the scoring guide. I think it shows you all 6 scoring from that year, so you have to scroll down to FRQ 6, but you'll figure that out. Also remember the second bit.ly link at the top of the page is a video that actually goes over the questions. So if tonight or May 12th before your AP exam, if you're looking at this and you need it explained again, there's something you don't understand, try to just make an easy way for you to get the help that you need. Second, once again, I did this one this morning and I got 8 out of 9 points. And my mistake on this one was part B. I forgot to do the second half of the question. Part B wanted 2 things, and I just did the first part too quickly, moved on, and forgot to do the second part. So that's why I got 8 out of 9. And then finally, before you go and check those scores, first off, this one should be a little higher because we've been practicing this skill for a little bit. We just did one like this, and if you look at the average of this one, 3.92, that's on the higher end. That's about as high as the averages ever get for FRQs on the AP exam. Lastly, have I ever told you guys how many points are on your AP exam? Total points possible? Okay, so it's 108 points total. Half of your points come from FRQs and half of your points come from multiple choice, which is why we do that to you on your test. FRQs are half the points, multiple choice is half the points. So this, like how many points you have to get right for a 3, 4, or 5 can change based on how hard the test is. If it's a higher average test, they consider it to be easier and you got to get more points. And if it's a lower average test, it's considered to be harder and you need less points. But there are 3 good years where they have shared those cutoff scores with everybody. So I typed this up to give you some big picture perspective here. So back in 2003, to get a 3, you had to get 32.4%. To get a 4, 47.2%, and to get a 5, about 64%. Pretty similar for 2008. And then the most recent one that they have is 2002, which the points, you can see the averages went up basically across the board, but they expected more points. So must have been considered an easier test compared to those other years. The reason I'm pointing this out to you is a lot of times, I know if you guys are in calculus in high school, you're used to making A's or B's on pretty much all your math stuff, all your math tests. Most of your career you've done that. And in calculus, sometimes you don't think you're doing a good job because it's hard to get 80, 90, 95% of this stuff correct. But when you're analyzing these FRQs, the reason it's so important to try to squeeze out an extra point or 2 is because even in 2022, you only had to have 45 points total to pass the whole thing. And so, you know, getting an extra point or 2 on each FRQ times 6, that could be 6 to 12 more points, which goes a long way towards your 45 that you need, or your 57 if you're aiming for a 4. So I've got a lot more of this kind of big picture stuff that I will share with you before the AP exam, but percentage wise, based on the points, you don't even have to get 60% of the points to pass your AP exam. Okay, I'm going to take this off to put the agenda back up. Is there any questions about these numbers? Well, yes? Yeah, that's probably going to be the most common mistake. Are you talking about at the end?
Yes.
Yeah, you should have been integrating this on the left side, I think. Okay, so did you do this?
Yes.
Okay, well, the derivative of this, if I try to work it backwards, the derivative of natural log of something would be 1 over something, but because of chain rule, the derivative of the inside times by -1, that you don't want to be there. So you either have to be careful and check it by taking the derivative, or you need to do u substitution, because u substitution will get you the -2.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so as you guys check this, if you have scoring questions, math questions, let me help. Finish up your test review, study for your Chapter 6 test that's coming up on Monday. This is an A week, so I will see you one more time, and I will give you a little bit more practice on Friday. But you guys should be feeling pretty close to taking this test.
I see you fixed the penguin out of the room. Oh, so is that where Bowser come from?
I just thought he needed an upgrade.
I just have a question of something I did. So first, with this thing, callus,
Yeah.
the graph went way down.
Yep, they're flexible on that. You have to make sure that it goes all the way to the left and all the way to the right. That's what Sam didn't do last week. But like how much you dip down, they're very, I mean, if you went up instead of down, it would be wrong. But yeah, like the exact amount, they're very lenient on.
Oh, okay.
So that's fine.
But something I did here, it's like I did like the E, I don't know what it's called.
Okay.
But like whenever you do like E to the natural log of 2, it would be 2. And then
Okay, your mistake is right.
Yeah.
From here to here. So, write that because I'm going to think it was my correction. When you multiply things with the same base, you add the exponents. Well, right here, these exponents are being added, right? So if you're trying to undo that, when you split it apart, now it's multiplication, not addition still.
Okay. Alright, that makes sense.
Thank you.
I just needed to tell this.
I'll bring it back. One other thing to keep in mind, not only should you guys be trying to feel very comfortable with this stuff for next week's test, but with your AP exam around the corner, when we get to focus solely on AP stuff, you don't want to have to feel like you're still in the process of learning this stuff. You want to feel very good and confident and current with this content so that you can worry about stuff from last semester, like critical numbers and concavity and product rule, quotient rule, and stuff that you don't have, implicit differentiation, stuff that you could do last semester but you don't have to think about very often second semester. So that's another reason you really want to make sure that you're learning this in the correct way so that you're not having to relearn this for the AP exam plus relearn stuff from first semester. And you guys got 50 minutes of class, so again, that should go pretty far into your studying. Remember, your test has slope field, exponential growth and decay, and separation of variables. Those are the 3 main new topics. If you know you need more practice on separation of variables, Khan Academy does have 1 or 2 assignments that you could do for practice if you know that you need that practice. I probably won't insist you do that because you guys have practiced a lot for me already, but
The ACT, the calculus competition.
test review done? Okay, so go ahead and check. See what you need to study your brain. If you use the initial condition correctly, I got the rest. I can't read my own work. I think they're pretty flexible. flexible here where if you lost this point, but then you use the initial condition correctly for your wrong information, I think you can still get that point. I believe so. They usually try to avoid it. They try not to make a mistake penalize you multiple times, so. I did it this morning, I knew that was gonna. Wasn't there one like that? Wasn't there a similar step?
I don't know.
Yeah, but this is it. Gotta be very good for the person. Why is this supposed to be this? Well, you know, perfectly well, how did you do? On both of them? Same thing on both sides?
Yeah, I did the negative and then I did like the second one. Did I do the digital? I don't know. I did.
It just depends on where you put the seat back in.
No, the first one. Oh, yeah.
Have you done? Any study or asked about?
Oh, are we recording on Friday?
I'm trying to fix AP review the practice. Still important to y'all, but this one. Four or five. Questions aren't as hard as separation of variables, but they're easier than that, but harder than self-build. Self-build's part of it. Who did that? One of them is L'Hopital's rule, and I think I showed y'all earlier this year, but we didn't practice.
Did he do it?
So we need to make sure that you know what that is. And then some of the other stuff is.
Mr. Townsend?
Uh-huh.
Did you write on my paper?
Why would I do that?
You definitely did, you definitely did.
Then why are you asking me?
I'm a detective. Have you done your taxes this year, Mr. Johnson?
I wish. That'd be spring break.
Is that your spring break activities, is doing your taxes?
Well, I hope it doesn't take all of spring break.
Do you do it yourself or do you hire someone?
I've done it myself the last few years.
That's crazy.
Just depends on how much stuff. If your taxes aren't that complicated, it's a waste of money to pay somebody. Stuff like TurboTax, you just type in your numbers from your W-4, click, and then you're done.
Is that what you do?
Well, I'm older, so I've got different things. It's a little more complicated. We'll talk about how to find the volume of shapes like this. One of them.
I got 4 hours.
If you want to know how much area there is that. Okay. Well, if there's a second function, we will find the area between the two curves. But all you have to do is find the area under this one, and then subtract the area from that one. So that's one of the like 5 things also. This is also not as bad as you. Integration does this pretty nice. Huh? Mr. Robinson.
It's just like, what was it, 60%? Which I think that's more than 60%. I don't know how to do the math.
Okay, so how did the FRQ Yep. That's gonna be the common, that part of both sides of the FRQ. But that's okay, because I don't know where to be extra careful.
I guess that would be.
That's okay about it?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Again, but the only problem is I can't promise this will be on Fisher's test, but if it is, I'll practice it enough that you guys will on it and quickly and then come on it.
Well, like, I'm not.
Well, I think it's pretty free, but I mean, the average is only 3.92, so if everybody got that one, well, the average is really like 2.92 out of 8, so. Test review finished? Let me know if y'all have questions. Can I check with y'all already? But it's kind of like I did. You're okay with it? Did you make the same mistake on the front?
Well, I was thinking. Oh, no, I meant like right now. Let's get my wallet.
Alright, how did that feel? Very good. Where's the first guy? You got 1 out of 9? Yeah. You can do better.
Wait, like why is this like so steep?
That's fine. They would count what you had there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If it goes to the point, I mean, if you're going like the wrong direction, it's something wrong. But like the actual, like, they're very, it's hard to know exactly how quick it is. You know, if you're in the right area, it does count. Yeah. They're not that picky. Okay. Young ones, to make sure you have the test review done, study that, and we don't have any questions. So they're all done? Test review's all finished, studying's all done, ready to take the test?
This, I'm better at this.
Oh yeah, this is, chapter 5 has a lot of stuff to it. Chapter 5.
Do some more studying and finish this
Okay.
One didn't go too great to get us. I was just like, oh,
It was like,
Originally, I was really talking about myself. I was like, it's just someone else who's talking about.
oh, you got it.
yeah. Yeah. And then
But probably a lot of what made it easier here is you had just thought about this. So when the AP test rolls around, that's why you can look at this up over again. So that
Because of stuff. The gas was
you okay? FRC's okay?
It smells really easy. It was good.
Have you done?
So it looks good.
So that's something you'll try to do today?
Well,
I can help it. But once I found it, but Arthur just used to.
I usually go over everything in the class, and then I use the test reviews. That's what we're doing.
That's what works up one class.
What is that? Are they hooves?
Huh? Those?
That's
It's
for
not
like
a, it's not a blow class, but it's not like a,
They're
they sit around and do nothing class.
When they were asking what else we have to learn before learned everything really. So one thing we do is try to find the volume of shapes like this. Why?
Oh, like if you want to know like the size of like a pound cake or something.
Whatever I should
Like a
finish.
strawberry shortcake.
You want to know the volume of the
Grades are good.
What if I just snap it? Are you really upset?
I mean, I'd have to write a referral line and you'd have to reimburse the school. It's not my property, it's the school's property. Well, it's 3D printed, so you'd have to pay someone to 3D print it. So whatever they do, you can do it for 50 cents.
No, I wouldn't. Times that.
That would probably take 4 or 5 hours to print it.
I don't know anything about hair. Yeah, and then like, I'm not allowed to use it.
You just do your calculus twice.
Yeah, good one, Mr.
No, actually, I got a 3D printer for Christmas 2 years ago, and I never set it up until like.
Have you ever made those like dragon toys that like they have the like logo?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't like print cosmetic stuff. Like I don't want a shelf full of just random
Can you
stuff.
make me a cat? I'll pay you like
Just go to eBay. You can probably there's a 3D printed cat on eBay. Someone probably sells it cheaper than that. But
but then
some people make.
how about Etsy?
People are probably printing the same file, so.
I feel like you would crochet.
I feel like you would do your calculus assignments twice.
Yeah, I do. All about it. I don't know why you're trying to make that a bad thing.
Why are you trying to make it a bad thing like anything?
Don't you have to know like certain files?
I can do your taxes for you, Mr. Townsend. I'll do it for free.
Do you have insurance where if you mess it up, you cover the cost of my lawyer and?
I'm not a registered, whatever you call it.
Well, then that's not worth anything to me.
But like, I'll just say that the government owes you $5 and that's all they owe. What?
What if they owe me more?
No, I'll say that you only owe them $5 and then they owe you $100. So it's a profit of 95.
But what if they owe me 2,000?
I'll say they owe you 3,000.
What if they owe me 5,000?
I'll say they owe you 5,500.
Okay, so say that, and then be ready to represent me in court when the IRS comes after me.
I'm a good lawyer. Objection. What's another thing that they say in suits? Harvey, let me take this case. And then they'll let me go. I don't know. I think I would hold up pretty good in court. When I got a speeding ticket, I went to court by myself. I didn't even hire an attorney. I was just gonna tell him I did it. Yeah, just go 99 to 70.
You're lucky they didn't take your license away.
Well, yeah, though, I don't think he actually got me at 99. I think he got me a little bit higher, but he was a pretty nice guy, so. Because he also took off my reckless driving, but I was driving in a straight line. How's that reckless?
You're going faster than you should be. 99.
Wait, what was the speed limit?
70.
Yeah, you better get a ticket for that.
It was only $100.
Yeah, only $100.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah.
Look at how easy.
Normally like $250, ain't it?
I have no clue. It'd be expensive though.
Oh, God.
And also, he could have gotten a lot of stuff from
You
that.
got arrested?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he could have gotten a reckless driving
Okay.
charge and
What was
maybe
it?
had his license taken away.
What if you hit like a baby or something?
Why would there be a baby in, I actually was in front of Washington Regional. Maybe could have ran through the highway. Hitching a ride.
You done with your test review?
You know the exit right in front of the highway?
You done studying?
Yeah.
I was trying to.
Are we putting 90 at Washington Regional?
That speed limit is not
No, it
70,
was
that's
on
like
the
60
highway.
max.
It was 70.
No
And
way,
then
it's 70 by
in
Washington.
front,
But Washington Regional.
It's like 60.
I think it's like 60 or 65.
Yeah, it's like 60.
a couple exits up is where it changes. But
Yeah, when you get on the actual highway.
yeah, I was on the actual highway. And I was turning off to go towards Washington.
What if you hit an orphan?
Hidden forest.
Well, fate is fate.
They just put 60 years in jail.
But like, nobody said I was a safe driver. I'm just a good driver.
The same thing?
No, it's completely different.
You're gonna be no driver when they take your license away.
Wait, what car were you driving?
A Jeep
Any
Patriot.
further?
Dude, how did you even get on that, out that fast?
I've gotten to one.
Well, technically, this is the second derivative. So if
Dude,
this was an
I don't
FRQ, you could
understand.
quit. As a multiple choice,
I'm a good driver.
I would say this is a complex fraction because you've got a smaller denominator within a bigger denominator. So you could just multiply this by y squared to make those cancel. But then you have to multiply this and this by y squared also.
I turn a 45-minute drive in like 20
So
Would you want to see that or no?
you would probably need to on multiple choice.
It's a pretty good
Complex
drive.
fractions considered unsimplified. And most multiple choice answers are simplified.
Okay.
You should see Ika drive. She's bad. She almost murdered me like 10 times. Yeah.
One time,
What's the fastest you've gone, Mr. Johnson? Yeah.
I'm not telling you that.
Okay, definitely over the speed limit then.
No, but one time when I was a student here, it was like a snow day, but they still had school, like there was a lot of snow on the ground. And that parking lot over there is where I parked my senior year. And so we go into the parking lot, and there's somebody in front of me. Well, her car gets stuck. So she gets out of her car, but then her car starts sliding backwards towards me.
What did you do?
I couldn't do anything. There was somebody behind me.
Oh, did they run into you?
No, I just held my breath and it stopped before it got to me.
Oh, okay, cool.
But it was pretty scary.
All right, here, let's play hot or cold.
No.
Like highest speed you go.
We can play sit out in the hallway.
What? No. Whoa. I don't know.
Are you done with your test review?
Oh, yeah.
Are you done studying?
Yeah, I'm not studying. I'm ready for this test.
Okay.
Getting 120%. Call it right now.
Good. I'll make it a little bit harder this time then.
No, it's alright. It's alright. I think it'll be quite alright.